some microaggressions or just flat out just say some outlandish things.
Where we were learning about sickle cell anemia, and of course we know that that negatively impacts Black community. And some people thought it was okay to joke about that.
I would say I'm very proud to be a Black woman in medicine.
I'm going to be a doctor. You have what it takes.
You should stand up for yourself. You have a right to be there like everyone else is there.
The resources to even try to, start your pre-med journey are not as available to the Black community.
I would say I'm very proud to be a Black woman in medicine. I'm very proud to be sitting with two other women who are also Black women in medicine. But I would say we need more. I think exposure at a young age is really important. So if you can get that exposure to different physicians in different fields, that would be really important. And I'm really proud that our school has a lot of Black women who are in the administration department who really help us and who really want us to succeed.
So for me, I would say one of the struggles that I am still learning how to navigate is learning when to speak up or when to just be quiet. When I find myself in conversations when people may say some microaggressions or just flat out just say some outlandish things. And so I would just say finding my being comfortable and confident in these spaces and just knowing when to speak up as a Black woman, so I don't get labeled as like the angry Black woman. But yeah, like Raquel said, it's amazing. It's so empowering and uplifting being around so many other beautiful Black women in medicine, and that really helps me stay motivated.
So how do you navigate to not being called the angry Black woman in the hospital?
So it's a good question. I'm still learning it myself. I ask my mom, my aunties all the time, like, how do they navigate it in the corporate world? I would just say maintaining professionalism is really important, and just making sure, I would just say, like, thinking of it as someone is always watching you and you never know who, or you never know who that person knows. So just tone and just professionalism is really important when you're trying to address these difficult conversations.
I would agree. I would also say communication is a really big part of, like, getting your point across. It's okay to be angry. It's okay to be, have your emotions. You're entitled to your emotions, but the way that you display them and convey them is really important in not just the medical setting, like you said, but any setting. And you want to maintain that professionalism as much as possible.
Yeah, I think tone is a big one that I had to learn during my gap years, especially like working like as a teacher. I think that taught me a lot about like how you convey a message to somebody. I think a big one also is still moving with some grace, because some people genuinely don't know better. Some people have never been around many Black people in their life, and so like they'll say things that are offensive to you, but they aren't like necessarily aware of it. So trying to keep that in the back of my mind, like, you are 22 plus, so you should know, you should know better, but you just might not. And so like not like coming at them with like a spirit of like blaming them, or like a spirit of like, you should know better, you shouldn't do this. Just like trying to like come at them and talk to them like, okay, like, this is how it came across, rather than it being like, you did this, this is how it impacted me. Because at the end of the day, like, intent doesn't equal impact, and trying to like convey that in your message. So yeah.
So 2 questions. One, I went to school in Louisville, and like you were saying, there's a lot of people coming from rural areas that never had a extensive interaction with a Black person before. If they say something that comes off rude, and you're not really sure whether they know any better or not, and like you said, I mean, these people are 20-something-year-old individuals, they're adults. Do you feel responsible for teaching them like what to say and what not to say?
I don't know. I feel like we've actually run into an issue. Like, we've, I don't even know. I feel like you would be better answering this.
Yeah. I think that's a problem that comes across because the onus shouldn't be on Black people to teach you at this point, or honestly any point, how to navigate in a world where there's plenty of Black people walking around. You can navigate and you can educate yourselves. You guys use TikTok, Instagram, whatever. Like at this point, with all like the globalization, like you have seen a Black person in your life, and we had a situation where we were learning about sickle cell anemia, and of course we know that negatively impacts Black community. And some people thought it was okay to joke about that. And I come from a family where sickle cell runs in my family. My cousin has sickle cell. I want to be a hematologist. And so I feel like I handled it pretty well. We just talked about it. I said, like, I don't think you had negative intentions when you did this, but this is how it could impact people. It impacted me because I think about my cousin who's like my brother, and these aren't things that we should joke about. And I think I don't know, educating, but also it is unfortunate that at the end of the day it does end up kind of on the backs of Black women to educate these people. What do y'all have to say?
I think you said it.
Yeah.
You said it all. Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
I hope everyone's enjoying the content. Medical school is challenging. There's no sugarcoating that. From figuring out a pre-med strategy to even getting in medical school, deciding what to do with your time if you're in a gap year, surviving the first 2 years of medical school, or figuring out how to excel in your clerkship. Honestly, the entire process is a little overwhelming. But here's the thing. Medicine isn't a solo sport. It's a team effort. And you can't afford to do this process alone. Having the right guidance and support can make all the difference. And that's why our highly qualified team is here to help. Whether you need help figuring out how to successfully matriculate into medical school as a pre-med student, how to successfully leverage your gap years into a superb medical school application, what to say during your interviews, optimizing your ERAS application, advice to put you ahead of your colleagues during your first 2 years of medical school, or a survival kit during your clerkship years. Our team is here to help. We got you. So don't look for help when you're behind. Get the help you need to put you ahead. Click the link in the bio, and I'm looking forward to seeing you. Peace. If you get in a scenario where you feel disrespected, even on like a racial front, from somebody, because we know the hospital has a hierarchy system, somebody that is higher up than you, maybe it's a resident and it's actually in a specialty that you're interested in going in, or maybe even in attending, do you feel like in your eyes there's an appropriate way to navigate through that? If they say something that you feel came off as disrespectful, as you guys say, you're trying to keep it respectful on your end, trying to keep a level of professionalism. Do you just let it slide? Or do you feel like you have to speak up for yourself? Or you have to let it go a couple times and then say something? How do you feel?
I think my, initial reaction to that question is, you should stand up for yourself. You have a right to be there, like everyone else is there, and you deserve to be there, and you deserve to be heard. Again, there is professionalism, there is respect, but I think standing up for yourself in that moment, especially if you really, really like that rotation or are really interested in that specialty, you should speak up.
I think also a good thing about our school is because we have so many Black women in like high spaces, I would probably go talk to them first and see like what they feel like how I should handle it. And I'm sure they've experienced it as well. So yeah, reaching out to them, seeing what they feel we should do or what I should do, and then taking it from there. But I agree, like, do not let it slide, because I feel like if you let them disrespect you once, they're just going to continue to do that, and that's obviously not something that you want to like be as like your persona, or like as like how people know you as like someone that can just like be like walked all over. Just like reach out to the mentors.
I think you guys did. I think y'all did good.
Just another question I wanted to ask you guys. Do you feel like the Black community within like medical education needs to do a better job in regards to having like a pipeline system. Do you feel like you're almost like alone on the island sometimes? You have to kind of go out and kind of seek people, seek attendings, seek residents, but do you feel like anybody's actually coming to you guys and asking you, do you need help? I'm willing to be your mentor, or do you feel like it's always you guys searching for people who look like you?
Honestly, I do think that the Black community does need to do a better job of implementing more pipeline programs. I do find myself, well, coming from a family that is not in medicine, I do find myself like having to just do a lot of the work and cold email a lot of people and just really build my network from the ground up. I don't have a problem doing that, but so I think that that's why we're here though, because I know that once I become an attending, I want to be able to give back. But yes, I think we can all do a better job of giving back and uplifting the future generation of doctors.
Yeah, I think we do our best. I think all of us, I can speak for all of us here, that we're involved in as many Black organizations at school as possible, one of them being SNMA. We try to go to a lot of the meetings and hear from a lot of the doctors that do speak to us. And we are in the process of getting paired with mentors. But I agree with Kennedy, we do need more. I think our school does a good job of connecting people, and once you're connected with a mentor, they are willing to help you, and they really do want to talk to you and help you through med school, but it can be sort of a challenge to get there.
Yeah, I think we definitely have to do more of the front work in terms of mentorship. I did AKA when I was in college, so I'm used to more of mentorship coming to you rather than it being something that I have to cold email and continuously try to reach out to people to find that. And we were literally just talking about that. So I think it's kind of funny. I think more as a Black community, we need to have this idea of okay, this person lifted me up, so let me lift this person up, and it being let me reach out to you rather than me having to chase after you to try to find help, because we already know that we are already a few steps behind in terms of where we start at. So yeah.
Why do you feel like there's not as many just Black pre-med students applying for medical school? Do you think it's more of a fear thing of the unknown? Is it because they don't have any family members that are doctors? I think they possibly cannot do it. They don't have the mentors. What do you think the gap is? Because it almost seems like, we're never going to catch up in regards to getting the numbers. And I don't know whether it's just the fact that it's just a small percentage of us are getting in, or is just a small percentage of us are even applying thinking that we can do it. Do you feel what is the lapse, I guess you would say, in your eyes?
Honestly, I feel like the resources to even try to, start your pre-med journey are not as available to the Black community. I mean, MCAT courses are thousands of dollars. It's a bunch of other things that I feel like are just more available to other races, and I feel like that's honestly where it starts. And then also just they don't see a lot of us in these spaces, so that fear might play a role in their reason to not pursue such a rigorous field. So yeah, that's what I feel.
Yeah, I think it's, a combination of everything that you just asked. Med school is hard. I mean, getting here is extremely difficult. It is not an easy road, and I think that's intimidating to a lot of people. And we are arguably in the hardest profession. So, I think it's intimidating, and not seeing, enough Black people in medicine is also just okay, I just can never do this. And you get into that mentality of nope, not for me. I'd rather just work straight after school, which is great as well. But I think if we had more people in medicine and speaking about their experience like we all are doing now, it would be a lot more impactful.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of barriers. Oh, yikes. I feel like there's a lot of barriers into getting into med school. I think med school itself, getting into it, there's a level of privilege that comes with it. It could be monetary, but it could also just be having parents that push you to go after your education. Or there's a multitude of things, but like in and of itself, medical school like breeds privilege, right? And I think the main reason why we don't see as many black people, black women, black men in these spaces is because they don't apply. I don't think it's like black people are applying and they don't get in. I think it's the intimidation factor of it costs a lot of money to apply to medical school, and if you don't have the means to be able to apply, you can't even go for it. You know what I mean? Like, I think it cost me like $3,000 to apply to medical school, and there's the fee assistance program which helps a lot. But if you're kind of like in that middle ground, you don't get any assistance. And then also like resources as well. I was blessed that my college had a lot of like pipeline programs within it, but if your university doesn't have that, then who are you supposed to reach out to? If you want to shadow, like if you don't have a physician in your family, it's hard to find shadowing opportunities. I think in of itself, medical school is just a barrier that you just kind of have to like keep pushing to get through, and when you get there, it's worthwhile. And just some people just, unfortunately don't have the means to be able to keep going.
Yeah, that's fair. Was there any certain point where you knew that, you had what it takes to get to medical school? I mean, obviously there's a lot of fear kind of going into it, whether you have doctors in your family or whether you don't, whether you see people around you actually going to medical school and not. There's probably people who may say that, you may not have what it takes. I know when I was going through pre-med and my advisor told me to change, my pathway. But was there any point where you're like, I'm just going to buckle down, just spend the money, and just go for it and see what happens? Because I know a lot of pre-meds are just trying to get over that hump, but what point did you recognize that this was for you? Anybody?
Somebody want to go? You want to go first?
Honestly, shout out to my mom, because my mom has been the person that even when I felt like I couldn't do it, she would always be like, whenever I pick up the phone, like if you were to listen in, she'd be like, "Hi, Dr. Simmons." Like, I think she just like constantly was putting into my mind that I'm going to be a doctor. You have what it takes. When I was like, "Oh, Mom, like I'm not going to pass this test," she like 100% was like, "You are going to pass the test. There's no doubt in my mind." She was even there studying with me, like, "Girl, you don't know if I even know the information." But I feel like the like 100% trust and faith that she had that I was going to do it pushed me forward when I didn't even believe it. But then when I was in college, I think I centered myself around black people. I grew up in a predominantly white area, so I went to, like, high school was predominantly white, but in college I centered myself around black people. And I think seeing other black people, like the seniors, the juniors eventually going to medical school, that also pushed me to be like, okay, like this is possible. And honestly, I just decided to bet on myself. I was like, I had the mentality of like they would be lucky to have me. Like, I know that I would be a good doctor. I just have to get in. Like, I know I will lock in and do what I need to do to be a good physician and provide quality care to my patients. So I just really, that was my mentality, that they were lucky to have me just as much as I was lucky to have them. So yeah.
I think about a moment I had in college. You just reminded me of, when I was talking to my pre-med advisor, and I think I was like behind on credits or like behind on, the road to being a doctor. And she told me, well, have you considered anything else? Like, I think X, Y, and Z, I don't remember what she said, but would be really good for you. And at that moment, I knew she didn't want me to be a doctor. Like, she was like trying to persuade me to a different path, which I think is incorrect. I think advisors should inspire students. They should be like, if you really want to do this, we'll make it happen. We'll try, it may not be the straight linear road, but we'll get you there. And, when she told me that, I was really sad because I was like, what did I do wrong? And I really had to lean on my family, my friends, and people that I knew that were in medicine to be like, no, I can do it. Like, it may not be, straight through, but I'm gonna get there. And I really found a lot more self-confidence actually when I left college, when I was kind of exposed to the real world. I'm like, okay, I'm an adult now, like I gotta make some more big girl decisions and really get to where I want to be.
For me, I would say definitely my personality. I feel like from the jump I've always wanted to be a doctor, and I've been like zeroed in focus on this. And honestly, I just have that type of mindset where if I have my mind on something, nothing is going to distract me, and I'm gonna power through any obstacle, which comes from my parents also because they've ingrained that in my head since we were kids. So I just owe a lot of my success to my parents, just constant conversations with them and them pushing me, just to give my 110% effort in any and everything I do. I think that's really allowed me to have success in my pre-med journey and my application cycle to med school and just push through and, did well.
Anything else y'all want me to ask? Or is that good? Cool. All right, cool. I didn't know where y'all wanted to go. I just kind of started asking questions. All right, cool. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it. That was good.